Hello and welcome to the Ironverse. My name is Hugo. Um, Today I'll be talking a little bit about the plans that I have for um, managing your own world and editing, how how this is going to work. Um, so there isn't a new update today. I am still working on the modules. Um, Probably tomorrow I'll be releasing what I've been working on. It wasn't quite ready for me to be able to update anything here for you guys. Um, yeah, but I'll tell you what's going to happen basically. So this screen here, the see this tab, um, you'll um, you'll be able to change the world name and the description um, if you are the owner of the world. And what modules are, um, they're um, kind of like apps, but for functionality within your world. So um, you'll have the basic functionality of moving around um, and exploring the environment. But let's say you wanted to add an inventory system, you would add a module. You would select from a menu similar to like an app store, and you would add, okay, I want this inventory. You could say I want this kind of terrain generation, these creatures, these items. So basically, you'll be able to pick and choose what you want in your world just by selecting it and adding it. Um, so I'll be creating a bunch of modules as well, of course. All the modules will be open source. So for anyone who's a bit more technical, you're free to edit them, create your own, and you'll be able to import your own modules and share them as well. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much the overall way it's going to work. As far as the terrain generation, like having different biomes, like different types of terrain generated in different areas, I um, I think you'll probably have like maybe an option in a menu or somewhere where you can select uh, the different types of terrain um, from a list that will be generated from your modules. So let's say you add a module for a forest, for mountains, for plains. Then you could go in your terrain generation options and select the ones that you want, and also set a weight factor to them. So you'd be able to say, well, I want forests to be much more likely than mountains, then you'd be able to do that as well. Um, for the terrain generation, I'm not sure if I've explained this before, but the any terrain, like all of the generation is deterministic, which means it can be regenerated exactly the same way from scratch without having to save it anywhere. Um, and for the parts that you edit, those are the parts that get saved in the database. So let's say you were to change how your terrain generates. Any buildings that you would build and stuff like that, they will be kept. Like you won't lose anything. The only parts that will get regenerated are the parts that haven't been edited. Um, and also, I should probably put an option to reset different areas. Let's say you didn't want to keep a certain area where you had made terrain modifications, then you'd be able to pick and choose which areas you wanted to reset um, and use the generation for that. So yeah, that's how it's going to work. Um, Obviously, I'm always open to suggestions. If you have some things you'd like to do, or if you see any issues or stuff like that, feel free to share. All right. As far as the actions that you can take as a character, so you know how bottom left and bottom right, you have basically an action equipped to uh, basically two actions equipped at once, right? And I can iterate through them in Q and E. So in this case, Q by default is the destruction of terrain, placing terrain, and placing buildings. But you'll be able to change that to whatever you'd like. So, well, whatever is available for you in the world. So, let's say there was a world that had combat in it. They would have added a combat module, and there would have been new actions available. Well, you would be able to probably equip the attacks that you wanted equipped. So let's say I wanted to put a fireball on my #1 slot on the left and I don't know a shield or a sword on the #1 slot on the right, and put other stuff on the slots 2 and 3. Then I would be able to do that. Or if the the owner of the world wanted to not give the player the ability to choose their abilities and to force them to have to stick to specific things, that could be useful for certain types of games or stuff like that. Well, that option would be available as well. Um, yeah, actually, it would probably be a module that you would add to allow players to yeah, definitely, to allow players to change what they have equipped, because that way it would unlock a menu up here, and they'd have an interface on, maybe drag and drop the stuff that you want, or that could be organized in whatever way the module needs it to work. So, yeah. Um, yeah. So, one more thing is I'm kind of unsure about this layout. Having different tabs here. Like, you only have like 4 tabs. I could make them smaller, but there's not like that much space. And I could imagine worlds easily having maybe 20 modules, So I'm thinking maybe it would be better if instead of having a layout like this, I had like kind of like a grid screen. This would be closed up, so I wouldn't be on the screen anymore. But I'd have like a grid screen, kind of like on mobile devices, like on your phone, you have like a grid with apps on it. So you have a grid screen with modules, and then well, with the not the modules themselves, that would be on this screen. But let's say you're on no screen, you'd have a grid of the tabs basically. So because not every module needs to have a tab with options to tweak. I mean, there could possibly be modules that don't need to be tweaked, especially like small modules that just add a few things. But for the ones that do need a tab, then yeah, you wouldn't have to, because I feel like it would be pretty annoying if you had to scroll this way to get to the tab you wanted and then scroll all the way back. It might be more friendly to just click on the icon of the module settings you want to change. And module settings, I mean, I say that vaguely because it could be your like from the point of view of a player, it could be your inventory, it could be your level up screen, your abilities, your anything really. So yeah, I think it would be easier to select like that, and probably later further down the road, as a player, I'd want to select like maybe a default one, or like some quick select ones, or um, like ones that I can make more easily accessible, or maybe just drag and drop so they can place them where they want it. So still think about that. Sorry, more to come on that. But definitely I want to improve this layout so that it makes more sense in the long run. For now, I might just stick with this screen um, and these tabs. But as soon as I can, I want to move away from that, make something more user friendly. Um, I just mean move away from the layout, like the functionality will be the same. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you think. If you have any input, feedback, um, comments. So yeah, like, subscribe, come join the Discord channel, and yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.